Right, hello there everybody, ACFC, hello, welcome, Adam, Clery, AC, Football Channel, FC, yep, you get it, and I love Wolves. And not like in the Bella from Twilight way, where she was like weirdly coy about it, but still very obviously wanted to smash the odd-looking dog boy. No, not like that. In the way where I come on the internet and talk about the football team. What Vítor Pereira has done this season might be one of the most impressive rescue jobs ever seen in the Premier League, because it's not merely just take over a team that's struggling and keep them safe, it's take over a team that's struggling and almost instantly make them really good. And that is not hyperbole, by the way, because on the left here, you've got the Premier League table under Gary O'Neill's reign, and on the right here, you've got the Premier League table under Pereira's reign, and if you spread those out across an entire season, on the left, you've got a team very likely to go down, and on the right, you've got a team very likely to qualify for Europe. So, how's he done that then? He's a legitimate pintsman. Like, Pereira is a Premier League manager who gets straight down the boozer with the fans after a win. And like, yes, obviously you're gonna get talked about on this channel if you do something tactically innovative or otherwise very impressive. But if I cannot make room for just being a lad, what's the point? Why am I doing this? So yes, more or less, this is Wolves this season, and if you have consumed even the meagerest morsel of content on Ruben Amorim, you will recognise this system. A back three, two wing backs, sixes who think they're eights, eights who think they're tens, and a single centre forward. But the primary difference here is that in the last 4 months, Wolves have used this system to get wins over Tottenham, over Bournemouth, over West Ham, over Aston Villa and Man United themselves, whereas Man United have only beaten Fulham from outside the bottom three. A bottom three, by the way, that Wolves have coincidentally also beat. So what is the difference between the two teams? Well, the easiest way of explaining it is that fundamentally this system lends itself to a particular mindset, a particular way of playing that Wolves really embrace and embody, and Manchester United actively try to resist. And one of the main things is that Wolves actually really like that this system gives them a natural back four and then another four in front of it that helps them defend. And you'll see this in every game they play. They will so contently drop into this really compact, really flat back five and then have 4 players in front of it, either in a line or just pressing individually to allow them to shut out opportunities in the centre of the pitch. And it is primarily the centre of the pitch because you can shuffle very easily from left to right with a 5 and a 4, but Wolves prefer to stay in the middle. If the ball goes out there, fine, they're just going to make you cross it in, where they trust their 3 centre-backs to deal with that. But then, when they are in possession and they're getting into the opposition's half, they have such great work rate from the 2 wing-backs that back 5 becomes a front 5 really effectively. Now, just to take you back to the Spurs game where they won 4-2, in the build-up to their 3rd goal, just look at how high and how aggressive Alt-Nouri and Semedo are when they're moving forward. He's even rotated with Sarabia on this side so they can move the defence around a little bit, but regardless, they turn this back 5, which you see all the time, into this front 5 in a matter of seconds. And I will stop talking about Man United in a second, but this is how that system is supposed to work. When you do it as effectively as Wolves do it, you end up with an extra player in the back and an extra player in attack. Whereas when Man United try and do it, they're usually a bit sluggish getting back, so they're a little bit exposed, and they're also not really attack-minded enough to both get into the final third regularly. So this is how this is supposed to look. And it's actually, when you start looking at these transitions, that you see just what it is about Wolves that's making them quietly a very special team. Because what you're talking about here is the ability to go from defence to attack, right? But what Pereira's managed to instill in this side is it isn't just the responsibility of these 2 players to get from back to front, it's the entire team's responsibility to turn defence into attack. And what I mean by that is it's not like, say, Nottingham Forest, who are the best counter-attacking team in the Premier League. They do it in a way where it's like, these 5 players, they will defend all the time, and these 5 players, They will attack all the time, and that's how we'll be good at one and good at the other and never sort of get caught out. The Wolves mentality is different. The way they look at it is all of us will defend all of the time until it is time to attack. Then all of us will attack at the same time. And it ends up being like that bit at the end, Lord of the Rings with Viggo Mortensen and all the ghosts. And actually, sorry, what I've done there is incredibly misleading because they don't all attack at the exact same time because that would be insane and crazy and incredibly fun to watch. But what I mean is, there are no players who have the set responsibility for leading the counter-attacks. It simply just falls to whoever it falls to. And if you look at the sort of chances they get from these situations, it's always a seemingly random collection of players bombing forward. Like, you'd think this would all be the forwards, but it's not. It's him for some reason, and him, and also him, and pretty much just whoever was nearest the ball or in the best position when it got turned over. And as a result, they now are in like the top 3 or 4 teams in the Premier League for goals from counterattacks. And that is some pretty good company they're in there. And just plain and simply, this system, this 3-4-2-1, is at its best when it is prepared to hunker down into a block like this that's very difficult to defend against, but you have complete buy-in and the right physical profiles to burst out of it and hurt other teams. And that is what makes Wolves really effective with it, because they've got all those things. But something else they have, which I also think is making a massive difference, is the same thing that Katie Price had coming out of I'm a Celebrity that year, and Andre at the very peak of his powers. Might delete that. Anyway though, so moving on, this is Andre's heat map and his pass map from, I think, Gary O'Neill's last game as Wolves boss. And you can see it's not a lot of not a lot. And despite the fact they're using a pretty similar system here, he's sort of roving around and trying to make a 3 with the 2 attackers. And when you look at his passes, they're all pretty like directionless and sort of very vague uses of him. He's exchanging possession without really doing anything. And when he's dropping in, he's going backwards. And when he's getting forward, not really doing anything with it. It smacks to me of a player who does not have a defined role. But if we jump forward to last month's Everton game, which jumped out at me because like the highest score he's ever got on SofaScore, you'll see a very different player. This is so different. The first thing you'll notice, he's absolutely everywhere across the pitch. He's got that same industry and work rate that you see from the 2 wing-backs for getting forward and defending. He's closing everything down. He's covering the whole pitch. He must be a nightmare to play against. But more importantly, look at the purpose that is now in his passing. He receives the ball largely in really central areas, but if you just sort of, you might have to squint for this, if you just sort of look at how many of these arrows finish in this wide area, you can see it's clearly a massive instruction for him. Get the ball centrally and work it out to either the wing back or the 10 on whatever side you can. And when you go back to how the system works with this front 5, like that's the most important bit. Like, can you get the ball out of this area and get it into these wide players to attack these sorts of spaces? And Andre has basically turned into a really, really important part of doing that, as well, I'll flash his numbers up really quickly, as being an absolutely fantastic defensive prospect. Like, these maybe don't look like they're in the top 1, 2, 3, 5% or whatever, but for a team that was in the relegation zone, those are fantastic numbers to be posting. By looking at that same game, these are his defensive involvements in that match. There are like 15 or 16 separate incidents just for him in that match. And these are all tackles, interceptions, ball recoveries. They're a mixture of everything. 15 or 16 times, I can't physically see them to count, he got in there and he made the ball theirs again. Like, that is absolutely vital. And if you just cast your mind back one quick little second where I said the most important thing is how do you get the ball out of this block and get it up into this block when you're in possession, Wolves shopped so well in January, and they added another player who I think is worth highlighting. Emmanuel Agbadou, a man with possibly the greatest open goal of a terrace chant you've ever heard, has been both pushing the pineapple and shaking the tree in this side like he's been doing it his entire life. And if we look at his numbers, you'll see he defends really, really well. He gets his tackle in, he blocks his shots, he makes interceptions. These are just great numbers for a team in the bottom half. He is taken to the Premier League like a fish. Yeah, a fish to water. It's hard, that. Anyway, all these numbers signify to me just good scouting and adapting well to both his league and his team. But these numbers, these selected passing metrics, they jump out as something different entirely. These are a bit of an X factor. Say he's not a great passer of the ball, but he performs way, way over the league averages for his long passes, for his switches of play, for his goal involvements, and weirdly, for his take-ons. And that's because his job as the centre-back is that when Wolves turn the ball over, it is his responsibility to set whoever away however he can. He gets them up the pitch, he gets them attacking. Like here, this Tottenham attack has just broken down, and he can drop an easy ball into this area, he can move it out wide, but instead, head down, foot through it, knowing those wing backs are going to aggressively push up the pitch, he finds Nori all the way down this side. And even like the second goal in this game, his involvement is a lot subtler, but he's the one who receives it when the Tottenham attack breaks down. And he could just make a simple pass, he could take the easy option, but instead takes responsibility and he carries it forward almost into the final third. And I don't know whether Wolves fans would agree with this, but to me, an outsider looking in, I think those two represent sort of the best examples of why the system's working so well. Like, I could have done 5 full minutes on Kuna. He's a fantastic player, he finishes excellently, but I don't think he's actually as vital to the system as maybe some other players are. Like, he's missed the last couple of games and they've gone on this great run as a result. Strand Larsen's filled in absolutely excellently. So I wouldn't be overly concerned about reports of him getting a big move in the summer. If anything, I'd be excited to see what this manager with this team could do with that money. And I'm not getting carried away with this, right? But if you look at the season Bournemouth have just had, where they've challenged for like that real upper edge of the Premier League, that was a result of a manager coming in, getting buy-in from the players, implementing a really effective system, then losing their most valuable player and reinvesting the money really, really well. And I don't see any reason why, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I don't see any reason why that can't be Wolves next season. I mean, they've already shown with this team they're capable of being this team over this many games. So, yeah, the future's bright. The future's orange. I swear to God, I did not pre-plan that. That just came into my head right there. I don't know what that says about me, and I don't know if I like it. Anyway, though, I hope you've enjoyed that and maybe even possibly learned something. Welcome once again to ACFC, the Adam Clery Football Channel. We're just a few weeks in. We're still getting going. We're still getting started, and we've had so many requests for Wolves. Thought it was time that now we've ticked off a lot of the quote-unquote big clubs to do something that normal people actually want to see. So I hope that has been enlightening for you. I love Wolves. And if you love Wolves, or indeed literally any football team in the whole world, I would implore you, nay beg, to please subscribe to us here at ACFC. There's a chance we hit 100,000 subs and get our silver play button in the most absurd record time imaginable. We might do it this month, the way we're going, which would make my head pop. Subscribe to the channel, that'll make my head explode. You might see it somewhere. I love Wolves. Goodbye. Really hot in here. Goodbye.